Hello again, I am back. Let me show you what I did. It's been a long day. All right, so last night I made a thin hood. And the idea was to make it thin enough that it would be flexible and so it could lay to the contour of the existing hood. I was successful. One layer of fiberglass mat seemed to be just about the right amount. So I set it on top of the existing hood, and it had a gap in the front, had a gap on the sides. So what I did was I looked and I said, oh, it's interfering where these, they call them floor mat vents. So I cut the C8 hood. You can see through there that I cut the C8 hood. After I cut the C8 hood, I looked at it and went, wait a minute. Maybe I don't have to cut the C8 hood. So on the other side, I cut the depression for the floor mat away. I don't like the floor mat scoops anyway. They're fake and they don't really add anything to me. And they collect dirt like you wouldn't believe. This front edge always ends up dirty. Anyway, by cutting that, I found out that it fits. So I did not have to cut my C8 hood. Wish I wouldn't have done that because now there is an opening here for rain, and it's supposed to rain tonight. If you look in there, that goes to the inside the trunk or front. Oh well, live and learn. Hindsight's always 20/20. So I spent the rest of the time molding in. Now this front top edge right here, I'm not sure which is going to govern. I have a funny feeling I'm going to cut this part off. You see, it's already coming off. And then blend these two together, but I haven't decided yet. But I had decided on the rest of this. So what I did was I bonded the two together. I roughened up the edge of this, the top edge of the perimeter. I roughened up the bottom edge of the hood, and then I put 2 layers of fiberglass mat on here and put screws, you can see, pretty much everywhere, all the way around. And then I took my trusty grinder with, it's going to be at least 36 grit, maybe 50 grit, I don't know. And that's what these circular marks are. Sanded it, then I put a guide coat of black paint, that's why that's dark. And then I sanded just to see what I had. Once I did that, I am concentrating on the passenger side, getting it right. And then the goal is to make the driver's side match. So once I did that, I started sanding to see where the high and low spots were. Now, people gave me a hard time about putting the rattle can orange paint on here. Rather than argue with them, I thought I'd wait till now and show. The whole point of that is it acts as a guide coat. All right, so I have fiberglass. Then on top of that, I have my gel coat. Right, the gel coat thickness is, if I remember, about 25 thousandths of an inch thick. And then I had the orange rattle can paint on top of that. So today, I spent the entire time sanding until I saw no more orange. There is a couple of spots where there's orange, but that's because those areas need help. But on the rest of the areas, I sanded until there was no orange. So now you can see it's all white. Any place you see that's dark like this, that means I sanded through the gel coat, and that's actually the fiberglass underneath. This is some filler that my body guy put on there to match these two. So what this means is that if the gel coat's 25 thousandths of an inch thick, and by sanding the orange off, I got all the orange off and only went through to the fiberglass in a couple places, that means that the mold was a pretty good mold, because that means it was pretty much within 25 thousandths of being flat. That's one of the issues when you buy a mold, you have no clue how good the mold is. So in this case, I did really well in buying this mold. So I sanded it all down. It is as flat as I can get it. You can see there is virtually no orange on this. The next thing I'm going to do is exactly the same thing I did back here. I'm going to put a thin layer of fiberglass cloth. Again, that cloth is only 0.8 of an inch thick. So by putting that on top of here, it's going to tie everything together where there are some areas where it's low right here. By putting the fiberglass mat in between the two, it did a pretty good job of attaching the two, but there's some places where it didn't do a good job. Right there's one of them. There's another one. So I will fill that up, and then I'll put that thin layer. Plus, it covers up all of these screw holes. So I'm going to put that layer of fiberglass cloth across there, and it's only 0.8 of an inch thick, so it's really not going to make a difference. This area right here still has orange because these two surfaces, there's a step right here. If you look, you can see that. I don't know which surface I'm going to go with, so I'm just going to put the fiberglass cloth here, and then with body filler, I'll decide which way to go. I'm also going to stretch the fiberglass cloth across this gap. It's not the best because it's only 0.8 of an inch thick, so it's not going to be really strong, but it's at least going to tie those two together, because now I can't get to the bottom side of this with everything attached. Okay, the other thing is that the hood right now is fiberglass shut. To get around that, after I make this bond, I am going to follow the edge of this hood, which kind of vanishes underneath here, and then I'm going to cut this out. And so that'll mean this part will open up with the factory C8 hood, and the rest of this will stay. So obviously this corner has to be filled in to get that edge, and then the rest of this will kind of take care of itself. What I'll have to do is make a bridge in between this surface. If you look, there's about an inch, I'm going to guess, drop there. So obviously if I cut that, I don't want this falling down an inch, so there's going to have to be a lip that comes up on this side and on this side. I have to do the same thing on the back. What I'm thinking about doing this is, of course, once I cut this, then this is going to want to drop down. There we go. This is going to want to drop down. I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is, like I did on a previous car, I took a piece of wood and put it across in various places, and then I put that expanding foam down. And then the expanding foam glued the piece of wood to the two different surfaces, so that when I cut this, it won't drop down. The expanding foam will hold this in place and will hold this, use this as a reference. And so therefore, when I cut this, the hood won't drop down. And then I can go ahead and build that shelf that I need to build. That'll let me know how big that shelf needs to be. It worked great on my other project that I did that a couple of years ago. Something else is, if you want a smooth surface, obviously I can put the fiberglass cloth down. Back here, I just painted it on. It looks pretty good, but if you look, not sure if you can see, there you go, maybe you can see it. There's a sag there. I put heavy fiberglass on for a reason. I like it that way. Makes it thicker, makes it when you sand, you don't go through that 0.8 of an inch. But you can use peel ply. What it is, it's a layered material, special material that you put on top of this. What it does is it soaks up all of this excess resin. Then after it's cured, you pull up the peel ply. It's a little bit difficult to peel, but it does peel. And then you're left with the surface finish of the cloth on the surface. Well, it's expensive. So I went to Walmart and found this polyester fabric, 2 yards for $2. I'm going to try this out. I told a follower that I would give this a try to find out if there was a cheaper alternative to peel ply that worked. It could be a good cheap alternative. It could also be a colossal mistake where I end up gluing this polyester to the top of my hood. Won't know until I try it. I will put it on tonight, and tomorrow I'll know whether it worked or not. The other thing I did was I made the third vent. So there's my 3 vents. Okay, there's the space where they're going to go. Now the question is, where are they located and how close are they together and all of that. All right, I think they're spaced too far apart right now, but I'm not positive. I'll have to see. So what I'm going to do is screw them together and then put them, I'm gonna have to cut this whole area open. The back area got cut because that's where that vent was that is in the mold. It's a C6 brake vent. Let's see if it's over here. Yes, it's over here. Okay, so this vent was over on that side. The problem is it's pretty tiny and it really looks out of place. Honestly, on the C6s, it looks kind of dwarfed, but you look at it, you go, okay, it's a brake vent, fine, whatever. In this case, I don't need it on the C8. And again, it looks dwarfed, especially looks dwarfed when you compare it to the large vent to cool the engine on a C8. So I got rid of it, I cut it out. When I cut it out, it left a hole here. And then when I wanted to put this vent in place, I had to have this back edge so that this drop would fit in. You can see that fits in like that. And this can go up or down this back edge. The way that contour determines where this sits. All right, so what I'm going to do is put these three in place. Now, if you look, this front edge, let me back up a little bit. This front edge determines right now how close these vents can be to each other. Obviously, if I wanted the vents closer and I did that, the front vent's going to cover up the back vent. Don't know that that's bad, but that sure would be a pain to mold because of that overlap. What I might do instead is put this where it belongs and cut this so that right where this drop is here, this meets with that contour right there. Because I'm thinking the vents need to be closer together, so I would put this vent like that, and then this vent like that. Yeah, this is hard to do with one hand. Anyway, you kind of get the idea. Okay. So I'm going to have to decide on the spacing and the location and all of that stuff. If you look at the sketch, I showed it previously. I'm thinking that the sketch is probably pretty much what I want to do, which would require those vents to be closer together and probably trimming that edge. The issue is, once I trim that edge, I can't untrim it. I mean, I could glue that piece back in, but that's going to require a lot of extra effort. But I think that's what I want. Okay, if you have any preference, let me know. Yeah, I'm just afraid that overlap's going to cause a problem, because then this thickness becomes a critical issue. If I cut this to that contour, then there is no thickness here. It's just the edge to the edge to the edge. So for simplicity of fabrication, I may just go ahead and say, that's got to be that way. I do like the way it looks when it's sunken in like that on each of those, because they look like real vents. And again, I'm not sure if I'm going to open that up or leave it closed. I don't think it'll help to open it up, because all of the air is going to be coming in from this vent, and I don't know what's going to happen when it has air, if it had air coming in from here. And then obviously if I don't open them up, then that's going to be an air trap on the side. But honestly, I mean, the top speed of a C8 is something like 195 miles an hour, and do I care if mine only goes 187 miles an hour because it catches wind on the side? And the answer is no, I couldn't care less. So that's where I'm at now. I will play with that tonight or tomorrow. It is supposed to rain tonight. It's supposed to come actually in the morning. It's supposed to rain in the morning. It's a nice night tonight. Oh, the wind. The wind was absolutely horrible today. So bad that it bent holes on my canvas cover that I repaired, and to the point that it picked it up. Even though I had it tied to cement blocks, it picked it up and actually landed it on that car. I heard this clanking noise when I was over making that vent. I looked over, and to my horror, the canvas cover was surrounding the car. So I broke it down as best as I could without completely tearing it apart, and then used tie straps to tie it to 2 cement blocks. It seems to have worked. It hasn't moved since I did that, as opposed to earlier today. It was blowing that, the wind was so strong, it was blowing that canvas cover around, even though it was tied to 2 cement blocks. Okay, I think that's everything. Like I said, I'm going to keep on working. I just wanted to get this done before it got too dark. And let me go ahead and give you that last view of what I have here. I don't know about the rest of you, but I really like the way this thing is shaping up. The hood especially. Now I am going to put a 63, 62 Grand Sport hood on this eventually. I just needed something to actually attach that Grand Sport hood to. So this is going to be it. One of the steps is to raise up these vents here, raise it up to be level, and then blend that in so that this area is going to be flat here. There's going to be a hump in the middle, and then flat on the other side. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like on the front. And those openings for the headlights are going to be covered with, in this case, the clear plexiglass with the anodized aluminum boxes. In other cars, eventually I'm going to put 2 different headlights. One is going to be the actual C2 headlights. The challenge with those is by the time you buy the headlights, the motors, the covers, the wiring, everything else, it's $2,500. I don't really want to spend $2,500. Actually, honestly, with all the cars I bought, I don't have $2,500 to spare. Not until I sell my house. And that's a month from now. So for now, I already have the plexiglass ones. They're going to go on here. The other option is to use partial covers and then C5 headlight motors. And what happens is it lifts up the headlights. They're called sleepy eyes for the C5s. I actually contacted the guy that makes them, and he never has bothered to reply, but I have seen them on other cars. And that's obviously a much less expensive. It uses LED lights. I think they're rectangular ones, 3 of them in a row. Not bad looking. I'll have to see. I'm going to do a car like that just to see what it looks like. So I'll actually have 3 different versions, the plexiglass ones, the full functioning ones, and then the sleepy eyes ones. Okay, that is it for today. Like, subscribe, and hit that alert if you want to see what happens next. My body guy was asking when he's in Houston. I'm in Cedar Park, so it's a 3-hour trip. So we're trying to arrange when he should come next. I will probably have him come. I've got it close enough that he can go. I have to go to Fort Worth and work on the Cobras. We're building a Cobra Coupe and a Cobra Roadster. Charlie Strickland and I are working on that, and he said he could use my help. So I'm going to head up to Fort Worth sometime this next week and start working on that. I have gotten some comments. Actually, I always get comments that people think that my fender eyebrows are too high. Let me go ahead and cover that again. The reason I did that is because if you look, the actual mold has lower eyebrows. They're built into the mold. They're right here. They're very tame. I mean, they're okay. The problem is that if I went with it, you can see that it's only about an inch raise here. And so it makes this back area not quite flat, but almost flat. don't like that. I think one of the big characteristics of the C2 body style is the contour of this back area. It raises up for the eyebrows, it drops down in the center, and then it raises up on the other side. I personally like that, so it was a choice. Do I want the lower eyebrows and the flat back, or do I want the high eyebrows and the very contoured back? Obviously, I've chosen the high eyebrows and the very contoured back, but people keep asking me why I did that. They think it's excessive, and if you just look at it, I mean, I can't argue with that it's not excessive just in and of itself. But when I look at it from this front, right here, personally, I like that. Let me back up. Sorry about the camera. I'm going to swing around. There we go. All right. So when I see that eyebrow right there, I like the way that looks. I like the front end. I like the way that pops up. Some people wanted me to pull the door out and have it meet so that it's flush. Originally, that wasn't an option because obviously air has to get in there to cool the engine. Now with these 3 extra vents, if I made those 3 vents functional, then conceivably I could pull that door out and make that work. Maybe it's an option in the future, but right now I'm not undoing anything that I've done because I have too much time and effort into what's already here. So I'm not ignoring you, I'm just saying not now. All right, like I said, like, subscribe, hit the alert, and I will see you next time, hopefully tomorrow. Next week, I'm not sure when, but sometime next week, I will be changing location and I will be working on the Cobra Coupe. I'm sorry, the Cobra Daytona Coupe. There we go. I'll be building it. Charlie will be building the Cobra Roadster. And wow, I will be working inside of a garage. Kind of a new concept for me. Maybe I'll get claustrophobic, who knows? Is there any kind of special things you need to do that you're supposed to do when you work in a garage as opposed to working outside? If there's any kind of protocol that I need to understand, leave it in the comments because I'm used to working outside in the open like this. All right, have a great day. See you next time. Bye.